Looking back, IV made some pretty big blunders with my money. I mean, huge blunders. When I was younger, in my early 20s, I was just like many of you probably are now. I saw all these flashy headlines, these promises of quick, massive returns, and I thought, yeah, that is for me. That is how I am going to get rich fast. I came from a pretty average background. Nothing fancy, so the idea of making a lot of money quickly was super appealing. I didn't have much to start with, but I was eager to jump in and make something happen. I had this burning desire to fast, track my way to wealth. I really believed that if I just found the right opportunity, I could skip all the slow, boring parts of building wealth. I chased every hot stock, every trending investment, and I listened to all the little whispers and tips. Buy this, sell that, they said. And like a fool, I often did. I was constantly buying high and selling low, getting caught in this endless cycle of chasing trends. I learned the hard way that short-term speculation is a dangerous game. It wasn't just short-term trading either. I fell for scams, the kind where they promise you the moon but deliver nothing. I didn't understand risk management, so I put all my eggs in one basket, often more than I could afford to lose. My emotions were completely in charge of my trading decisions. If a stock went up a little, I feel invincible. If it dipped, I panic and sell everything. This emotional roller coaster led to me losing a significant chunk of the savings I had worked so hard to build up. It was a really tough pill to swallow, seeing all that hard work just vanish. I remember countless nights staring at my bank statements, feeling this knot in my stomach. The regret was overwhelming, but it was also a huge wake-up call. After hitting rock bottom, after seeing my savings dwindle to almost nothing, I finally had to confront the reality of my situation. The dream of getting rich quick had turned into a nightmare of constant losses. It was a painful period, but it also forced me to reassess everything. I realized that my approach was completely wrong. I was chasing a fantasy, not building a future. I had to let go of that get-rich quick mentality. It was hard to admit, but I needed a complete overhaul of my financial mindset, so I started from scratch. I dove deep into learning about proper financial planning, understanding the fundamentals of investing, and the importance of diversification. I read books, watched legitimate financial education videos, and talked to people who actually knew what they were doing, not just those who were hyping up the next big thing. I learned about the power of steady, consistent savings and low risk investments. It was a slow, gradual process, but it was also incredibly liberating to finally feel like I was in control, rather than being at the mercy of market whims and shady schemes. Now, I am not doing aggressive investments anymore. My focus is on being rational about money. I want to share all my screw-ups, all my lessons learned, and all the basic principles that every beginner should know to avoid the same pitfalls I did. I am here to tell you from personal experience that there is a much better way to build wealth than the path I took initially. I remember this one time I was at a friend S place, and she had a bunch of young people, mostly between 20 and 23, staying there. One morning, one of the guys was up early, and he asked me, "Hey, I've got an extra $10,000 right now. Where do you think I should invest it? I've got my 401k and some other stuff." It was kind of sweet, actually. It really struck me because he was actively looking for an investment that would give him a good return. And look, I want to be super clear about this. If you invest in things like the SP 500, real estate, and other solid assets, and you start early and you keep at it for a long, long time, you will absolutely make money. It is a very safe and reliable way to approach life financially. But here's a thought that really changed my perspective. The moment you start thinking about investing primarily in things like the SP 500 or general stocks, especially if you are not day trading, which, let us be honest, is usually a losing game, that is the moment I believe you might actually be slowing down your own income growth. Hear me out on this. Imagine you are 18, you just graduated high school. Right now, on the job market, you don't have many skills beyond that diploma. Let's say you didn't spend your time learning extra skills, which isn't you, I know, but just imagine in just 2 days. You could become certified as a phlebotomist. You could go from making minimum wage, maybe 7.50 an hour, to $25 an hour. You would triple your earning capacity in 2 days, and it would only cost you about $500. If you can triple your income for the rest of your life with a $500 certification. In 2 days, do you think it is worth the investment? Probably. The problem is that most people think of the biggest investment as something they put their money into, like stocks or property, but I am going to be a bit blunt here. Your ability to earn money, to provide value to the market, and to solve problems for other people. That is how you will truly make money. The value of the problem you solve and what you charge for it. The bigger that number is, the more you can charge. That gap between someone's old problem and your solution, that value, that is the percentage you can take and put in your pocket. This could be a service you offer, products you create, or whatever. Your earning capacity, your ability to generate income, that is the thing that will truly build your wealth. Now, do you want to be smart with your money and save it? Absolutely. That gives you so much more flexibility and opportunity to make smart choices, but especially when you are 20, even when you are 30. And honestly, at any age, I believe you should take all your excess money, live as cheaply as you possibly can, and invest 100% of that that excess money into education that directly increases your earning capacity. Because here's what happens. If you take that phlebotomy course, you are now making $25 an hour. If you work 2,000 hours a year, that is a $50,000 annual income. That is pretty cool. If I am 20 years old and I can live on $20,000 a year, maybe with roommates, eating ramen and keeping expenses low, I'd have $30,000 left over after taxes, or maybe $25,000. 5 grand can buy you a lot of education. I would much rather see someone, whether they read 20 or 30, take $2,000 a month, which is roughly what $25,000 a year breaks down to, and invest it in courses, coaching, mentorships, workshops, and seminars every single month. You could even put that $2,000 into one big opportunity. For example, you might think real estate is cool. And I am not talking about real estate as a passive income stream initially. I am talking about getting into the real estate game to make it your active income. And let me tell you, almost everyone who truly builds wealth in real estate is actively spending their time. In real estate, don't believe those stories where people just say, oh, I did this deal and made X amount of money. Ask them about the process. How many deals did they look at? How many conversations did they have? How many buildings did they walk through? How many different general contractors did they talk to? There is so much more that happens behind the scenes. So let's say you take that $2,000 a month and you do that for 4 years. And I am not talking about a traditional 4-year degree here. I think that is a valid path for some, but in today's market, I don't necessarily agree it is the best or only option. 4 years later, I can guarantee you will be making more than many people who have traditional 4-year degrees. You probably even start making good money by the end of the first year. Think about the sheer number of copywriting courses, books, programs, mentorships, and even one-on-one coaching available. I think one-on-one coaching is an amazing way to learn a new skill. If you say, hey, I need to know how to buy media, I need to know how to run an ad, go pay someone who runs ads and teaches people how to do it effectively. When you make that payment, view it as one class in your entrepreneurial degree rather than thinking this one $12,000 investment has to make you rich overnight. You can shift your mindset to see it as part of a broader educational journey. Just like when you get a degree in college, you wouldn't think, oh, I'll take one Spanish class and then graduate and get any job I want. No one thinks that way. But for some reason, when it comes to entrepreneurial pursuits, people often fall into that trap. You are not paying someone to be your savior. They're not going to magically solve all your life's problems or do everything for you. No single person is going to teach you absolutely everything. I'll do my best on this channel to share what I know, but you can learn something valuable from everyone. The easiest way to reduce your risk when making a purchase, especially for education or mentorship, is to follow people who provide a lot of free value. If you follow someone's Instagram, their YouTube, and you see the content they put out and think, wow, this is really good, this is a lot of new, tactical information that I didn't know, then you already know a couple of things. First, you already know you like the person and their style. Second, you know you are getting value from their free content. So the likelihood that their paid content will be worse than their free content is quite low. Hopefully you follow several people in a particular area, and then you find the one you connect with the most, whose teaching style you really like. You don't need to labor over this decision forever. Give yourself a week or so to evaluate, and you know what is even cooler than buying one person's course. Buy them all, then you know what everyone knows, and guess what happens then? You become just as good or even better than all of them. Now, let's say you are making $80,000 a year. Well, now you've got $4,000 a month that you can spend on coaching, mentorships, further learning, and courses. I always tell myself I am going to be the #1 student here. Just do whatever they say. And see what happens. You want to replicate before you try to innovate, before you try to put your own unique spin on things. Make sure you can first duplicate exactly what they were doing, because only then do you earn the right to make those iterations and adaptations. Even if it is not perfectly your style, copy it first before you start changing things. Think of it like building a bridge. With many bricks, you have to lay every single brick. And here's the tough part. Let's say there are 30 bricks on this bridge to make your first dollar. That first dollar only walks across the bridge once all the bricks are laid. When you are 28 bricks in, you might not have made that first dollar yet, but you are 90% of the way there. The speed at which people can cross that bridge depends on how well they identify which brick is missing and where they need to focus their attention. That is where a lot of people get discouraged. They start building a new bridge, lay 2 or 3 bricks, then get distracted and start another new bridge, lay 2 or 3 bricks there, they end up with lots of half-built bridges and never make it all the way across. Let's say you are a videographer or you are just really into video stuff. Skills stack up exponentially, you gain a video skill, then you add an editing skill. Now you understand social media, messaging, copywriting, and branding, and then management, operations, and leadership. See how that person's capabilities start to expand. You can imagine how their income is going to dramatically increase because now they effectively a chief marketing officer. By broadening your horizons and going deep into these other areas, you suddenly become an entrepreneur. So, there are 2 key takeaways. 1, You have to make the decision that you are not going to spend all your money on frivolous things. And second, you are going to spend your money not just on the SP, but on the SNME. What is that? You are going to spend it on you because that investment in yourself, in your skills, and earning capacity is going to compound a heck of a lot faster than the 10% a year you might get from traditional investments. You can literally double, triple, or even 10 times your earning capacity. The richest people in the world, they often make thousands of times more. Jeff Bezos, for instance, made $40 million an hour last year. That is a lot of money. And it is because they understood the power of investing in themselves and their ability to create massive value.